In studio, I'm joined by Kiko Moore. He's the CEO of Angaza Elimu. And also next to him is Frida Ngari. She's the co-founder and CEO of Ntemata. Thank you so much both for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ntemata is an interesting, is it like a full name or could you tell us more about it?
Ntemata is a word coined from the Samburu community, which means assessment, to test or to examine.
Right.
One of our colleagues is a Samburu, is from the Samburu community, and when we asked the team, let us give a name to our product, and it was the most fascinating name. So
Yeah, it actually just sounds nice in
Yes.
itself. But I want to start off with you now, Kiko, in terms of, how is technology in education shaping the future of a learner in terms of like preparedness towards the future?
Sure. So technology is a powerful tool. We've seen technology transform different sectors. This could be transport, healthcare, but very little being done in education, but this narrative is being changed. So we've seen really technology, and with it, a lot of talks about generative AI and ChatGPT being talked much around in town. So we're seeing how technology is really helping students, one, being able to study on their own pace, on what we call personalized learning experience, for them to master different concepts of learning. But then also beyond that, what we really call lifelong learning, where really anyone can learn at any point, at any space, and be able to acquire skills that are actually required for the future of work. And so really making education to be delivered innovatively and cheaply for everyone to be able to afford and get ready for work.
Right, Frida, rather, do you share the same sentiments when it comes to technology in education?
Yes, I agree with him, and especially in how you evaluate how somebody is able to shape their future through education, which has been a huge gap. But you find that technology has, since the 1940s, when the calculator was invented, we have shifted for a long time towards introducing technology in the education space. But COVID-19, I think, was a kick for it all. And many people realized, if I'm able to access my learning remotely, if I'm able to access my learning on my own, and I can share it with my friends, and also work in a group, the only way I can I can do that is through technology. And so we have we are seeing a phase where technology is now picking up in the education step to help many individuals inform how their future is taking up, what kind of skills they need, and be specific about their competences, be specific about the choices and their pathways. So I don't know about yourself, but I remember our parents used to force us. It's either you become a teacher or a doctor or something, an engineer, but that's not what you want to do. But now you have a space where technology informs you how to do that. And the only way to do that is through very good assessment of your learning. So in our space, we are able now to give e-assessments in a very informed, to make sure that you get make informed decisions on how you shape the choices of your learning.
Right. Coming to you, Kiko, is it the same situation also with Angaza Elimu in terms of like e-assessment? Is that what you target in terms of just making sure that there is critical understanding of e-assessment in the digital space?
Correct. So what we're basically doing is changing the traditional way of learning and teaching. And basically we do assess students. I know traditionally we have a one-size-fits-all. We all sit in the same classroom and we're receiving the same type of assessment. But the learning of science really dictates differently. We do all have different abilities. And so we do a lot of injustice when we try test students. I know it's a very good timing right now when there are national examinations happening. And so, I mean, it's a good, does really determine how one student progresses from one level to the other. And what really we position ourselves at Angaza Elimu, we do have these adaptive and interactive e-learning platform called Kalamu. And basically what the product does is diagnose what is the student ability. So we try to look at what is the student actually learning, what is their user behavior, what are they progressing in and what are they really falling behind in that. And with that information, then we're able now to adapt to the students' level and be able to provide them with assessments that match the time resources. Because differently is if you're able to, if a student keeps getting something wrong and they're practicing, they get demoralized, and that's why we really see a lot of students asking why are they getting D's or low performance. Is because that we've kind of demotivated themselves, even, and we only realize that during national examination, but continuously and the continuous assessments. I think this is the position of the new curriculum, the CBC, that's trying to do these continuous assessments, and with such platforms, then we can be able to automate such processes and make it really easy for even teachers to really understand how their students are progressing. And it's not just for the students to have personalized or adaptive assessments, but are we really providing teachers with insights to understand how these students are progressing? And these insights could be how a teacher can really definitely give remedials for students who are struggling, or even support those who are progressing. Because that's basically the essence of why actually you assess students, is to understand how best to intervene in terms of instructions. And we're coming out very strongly with this adaptive tool that is using generative AI to assess students, but not just for the assessing students. Is how we generate different resources, especially for the remediation and supporting students for more growth. Because it's, content creation is a bit expensive, but these tools that we can really utilize, and we are able to serve students at their specific levels. I
like the fact that you also mentioned teachers, but I want to come back to Frida now. You talked about how our parents traditionally would expect you to be a teacher, a lawyer, or a doctor. But right now with the e-assessment, is there any way that it can help learners, be able to set their future goals and build on other careers?
Yes, it's possible. And we have worked very well with a few teachers in different levels of education to make sure that we align with the curriculums that are already present. As is mentioned, there's a lot of standardized testing, which is okay for the nation, but in the classroom, you need to also find out, when you have a diversity of learners, how do you assess them? So in Temata, we have set up different ways of assessing, of e-assessment. So you have different question levels, and we're using the Bloom's taxonomy so a teacher is able to assess from, does a learner remember? Do they understand? Are they able to apply what they have done? Are they able to analyze, to evaluate? Are they able to analyze? And then are they able to create in their own environment, or when they go back home? Are they able to apply that content in that way? So our system helps the teacher to assess those kind of levels and work with the learner until the day they are able to create and be meaningful, the content they have actually taken up is meaningful for their own future and even for the progression to the next level of education. Then the other thing we have done is a student should also be able, or a teacher should also be able to provide different ways of assessing. As you said, they're using adaptive assessment. In our case, we have we make sure the system assesses in different forms. So you can set in video form, you can set in audio, you can set in text form, and also different files. That way, you give everybody an opportunity to express themselves the way they want, right? I don't know your time. Our time is, if you're doing composition and insha, it is, you must write. And then the people who are
the same time.
Yeah, the person who was very good at poetry. Yeah. I mean, did not want to be in the classroom, but some of us were very good at poetry, but we were not good at writing, we were not good at reading. And you find if somebody had told me, express yourself, this topic I've given you, this subtopic I've given you, tell me what you think about it. Have you understood this topic? Go write something, or do a skit, or do a different impression. So with that, we have set also, and Temata has applied the framework of universal design for learning, which helps you to align the way you assess a learner by the way they present their work, represent their work in different forms, the way they engage on themselves, self-assessment, and also with other learners, and their peer assessments are also enabled in the system, and also the way they organize their work after they express themselves in their responses to questions.
Right.
So a teacher has a variety of ways, and that's what we are saying CBC should be able to support. So we are supporting CBC because we know the future is bright for 10 years from now. You'll see a different graduate who is able to is well informed. The content that they got in class, because we believe the teacher as the driver of every learner. Me and you who are parents are not and guardians of, we have given that role to the teacher. So the teacher who is guiding this learner until the time now, they come back home and they are telling us, I can't do this, but I want to do this.
Yeah, I want us to talk about parental involvement in just a bit, but I want to come back to Kiko and just talk about in terms of accessibility, because understanding what you're saying now, it works very well with also students who are in like an urban setting. Does it also work with every student? Do they even know about this assessment that you're talking about? The schools outside the urban settings?
Digital divide is a real thing
Right.
in our current context and in our country. But the government has done a very good job, especially through the digital project, by distributing over 1.7 million devices to public schools. But devices alone is not enough, because the infrastructure of access is a key thing towards digital education. But we've seen across different development partners setting up infrastructure in terms of connectivity and also connection to the power. And then that solves the first puzzle of access. But then also beyond the school setup, I know we do have a good penetration of smartphone devices, but then we also are asking ourselves, is internet affordable to those parents who come from the low level income? And so it's really, we've seen a lot of innovation. Like for us at Angaza Elimu, we built a platform that is semi-online, that really only requires the students to be online when they're downloading the app, and then they can access the resources offline at all times. So this really saves them the cost of the hidden charge of expensive internet in the country. But then also we've seen other innovators are really doing beyond like SMS-based assessments and content, and this really is trying to bridge that digital divide. But then also we try to look at, again, you don't want to really lessen the quality of the resources that you're putting in there, because when you're just assessing students via SMS, then how do you assess them for pictorials? I mean, Frida mentioned about how they're assessing students with different multimedia content. So there's still, I would say, there's still a lot of innovation that needs to be done. But then we're really glad to see that there's also support. I know the government yesterday really launched about the smartphones that are being assembled locally here in the country, and that will really go in a long way to ensure that everyone has a device that they can actually access these platforms. But then you mentioned about parental involvement, but then there's a bit of also parental engagement, which are totally different things. Parental involvement could be, are they actually availing devices to these students? But then the parental engagement is, do they actually involve, or are they really tracking what the students are actually learning? But then that brings about the question about, what are the literacy rates of these parents?
Right.
And so again, those are some of the external factors that really affect learning, what we call demographic factors. But then for the innovators, how you can really be able to reach and engage the parent. And this could be through different nudges, even it could be via WhatsApp, what they really mention, and you're really telling them, this is how your student is progressing, or this is how your child is progressing, and we feel that you could be able to support them, or we can communicate to better share more insights on how you can support the students, encourage them, give them more motivation to learn. And that really brings around kind of like a 360 view, where we bring all these key stakeholders, and we're not leaving behind the parents, who are very crucial role in the progress of their own children's learning.
Very interesting conversation, really. But first, I want us to just take a short commercial break here on Africa Speaks. We'll still continue with that conversation on e-assessment, so don't go too far.